Hey guys, this is Tyler. So, for those of you that don't remember or maybe didn't get a chance to listen to our show from a few days ago, episode 290, this was actually the first half of that recording session. But we went super long, and I don't like really releasing super long episodes anymore. It's just easier, I think, personally, to break down hour and 10 minutes at most podcasts. So, I decided to split these up into two. We didn't play it super well, where we did our get what we've been playing first, and then we did the big Nintendo stuff second. I wanted to get the Nintendo stuff, our thoughts out there first because it was still more in the news, more topical, and then I figured release this part second. So, anyways, I'm rambling now, but this is our what we've been playing part of that recording session. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you guys enjoyed our Nintendo stuff. If not, go back and check that out. But until next time, guys, I hope you enjoy. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 290 of the Drunk Dashers podcast. I'm your host, as always, I'm Tyler, and joining me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Tyler, I'm doing alright. Actually, I kind of wanted to tell you a little bit of a brief story, though, before we really get into the nitty-gritty of things. So,
Okay.
my district manager at work, he has coined a new nickname for me in terms of, he sees how much I do for, like, production stuff and, like, how much I do for general work around the environment. He gives me the nickname of Hot Rod.
Hot Rod Colonel Gables.
I know, right? And his explanation, well, not nearly as an explanation or something, it's just kind of like a nickname that's kind of stuck. So every time he sees me, like, out on the floor, like, working, like, Metro cards or out there just, like, going back and forth, because I'm on my feet, literally, like, all the time when I'm at my workplace. And so he's like, hey there, Hot Rod, how's it going? I was like, hey, how's it going? It's just... it's just one of those things that's kind of funny, but yeah, I think that it fits so well. It's like, okay, now I can just go forth and just have the complete nickname and stuff. It's like, it's Hot Rod Colonel Gables. Oh god, but
Title for the episode, write it down so don't forget.
but other than that, though, it's been pretty much a busy week. I have been playing other games besides Warcraft because, well, you know what? I need to fit in something because what you would consider like Madden, you know, you have your game that you play like for a few hours a day or something like that with Madden. I got mine now for World of Warcraft and stuff. Yeah. So I try to focus upon this week of trying to find that specific game or games that's going to help break up the monotony of me grinding in Warcraft and stuff. So, you know, I think I have at least a few that I'm actually going forth and into. But,
Cool.
Anyway, I'm doing alright, Tyler. How have you been doing?
Doing alright. It is a weird, recording time for us.
Yes, it is.
We were recording on a late Sunday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
All the first games for us. We always like the noon football games are over for you. 10 a.m.
Yep.
For Gables are over. Just finished.
Yep.
You know, football sucks, man. I hate football. Packers just tied the Vikings after blowing a lead.
And the Cleveland Browns have actually lost after their field goal, after their kicker missed an extra point in like 3 field goals. So it's like 4 kicks. And
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, the Browns play like the Browns.
Yeah, poor Browns. I feel
I
sorry
know.
for those fans. They're like cursed.
You know what's
so.
But anyway,
Go ahead.
go on.
No, you're fine.
Okay. It's like, you know what's going to happen now if the Browns keep on winning, you know? If they start winning, everybody's going to be on top of their bandwagon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was hoping for 0-16, which we were close to getting. You know, they were seconds away from tying again.
Yep.
Which would have been awesome, but unfortunately the Packers tied. So it was a cool couple hours in the last like hour of the game. The highest of highs,
Yes.
and the lowest of lows as a fan of football sometimes. But no, it's actually kind of works. I kind of like this almost like the Sunday recording session.
I know, right?
You know, because like especially after what essentially is a loss, because the Packers should have won the game.
Yes.
And they blew it. It's bad calls too, but they you know they should have won. Still, they had a big lead and they gave it up. So it's not really you can't really. It's hard to enjoy a tie, anyways. Like the Packers only had a few ever in my lifetime. even if they came back and tied it, it's still hard to enjoy. But it's feels like a loss right now.
Yeah, I
even though they
understand.
tied,
I understand
even though
what
they
you're
tied a
talking
really
about.
good team.
I think with my 49ers or something like that, it's been like I think I've seen them tie once. I know at the halftime they were leading 13-10 over the Lions, which I hope they actually win this game.
Me too. So, yeah, it's been a weird season already though, where
Yes.
you typically only see a tie every 2 to 4 years, and we've seen 2 in 2 weeks.
Yep.
So, off to a rip-roaring start in NFL this year. But the Hawkeyes won on Saturday, so that was nice.
There you go.
Yeah, woohoo. But yeah, I don't know. It's been an interesting week. I had to take my first like big work trip on Friday. I went on a trip a couple years ago, but it was like an hour away, and met one of our suppliers, and there and back in 5-6 hours. I had to go on a trip with all of the big wigs. I was the only hourly employee; everybody else was salary, so it's kind of a weird thing where I didn't say a lot, even though I talk to these guys a lot. It's just like it's stuck in a car with them. Went to Kansas City. It's about 3.5 hour drive. So we had to go visit a supplier of ours. So it was a very long day sitting in a car. But the cool thing is you kind of just do whatever the hell you want for those hours driving in the car, or I just sat in the back seat, so I had to drive, so it was kind of nice. So I brought the Switch with me. So Switch, man, I see why people always rave about the Switch as a portable. Like I don't really, outside of like a few times where I've talked about like where we've had a few power outages and it kind of kept me entertained while we didn't have power. Going on that trip to Vegas and back, and now this, it's been kind of cool. I played it for a few hours. Played a little bit of Hyper Light Drifter. It was difficult to play because it was just kind of shaky, a little bumpy on the roads. But Picross is like an excellent travel game. Playing Picross 2, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a I don't know. It's been a fun little week. I got tomorrow off. I got Monday off, so I'm excited about that. Yeah. So kind of gives me. I told my boss, I'm like, good thing I already had Monday off because she texted me as soon as the game was over. Like, seriously? And I'm like, I told her, good thing I had Monday off because I probably wouldn't have made it anyways. I legitimately felt like I was gonna throw up when the game ended as a tie. Yeah, I felt legitimately sick to my stomach.
Ooh.
But anyways, enough about football and all that. Let's get into the actual meat and potatoes of the show. This is obviously a video game podcast, talk about video games. You want to do the direct first, or you want to talk about what we've been playing first?
Why don't we talk about what we've been playing first? Try to mix things up.
Okay, yeah. I guess we have been for a while now doing news first. So, do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
Let's see. How about you go first this time, Tyler?
All right, cool. So more of the same for me as last week. I actually beat Spider-Man on Wednesday night. I talked about it a lot last week. Yeah,
you played that game hardcore, man.
Yeah, I had last Friday off. So I talked about I spent pretty much 10-12 hours on Friday playing it, another 5 or 6 probably on Saturday playing it. So I mean, going into last week recording, I was close to 20 hours in probably. I would say I beat it. I was probably somewhere a minimum 25 hours to the high to maybe 30 at most. And like I said, I just could not play. I could not help but play it. I pretty much all I would do before football kicked off on Saturday and Sunday was just play Spider-Man. And I just before, like I talked about last week, I was close to 20 hours in, and I had only beaten the first act. I'd only actually close to 20 hours of gameplay. Probably only spent a few hours on the actual story. I finished the game. I was like 86% complete for the entire game.
Yeah.
So fairly close to 100%ing it.
That's pretty cool.
So I was looking at possibly going back because I was still really enjoyed the game. Part of the reason I was kind of flying through a little bit the story mode. One, because it was really getting good, especially about halfway through the game. Like it was good in the beginning. Like I talked about last week, it was cool playing against Peter Parker, dealing with the human side of it, not just the Spider-Man side of it, and dealing with all his relationships. They delve more into that, and it kind of gets a little more intense as you go, and it's just like, you just want to see where it goes on from there. And I was like, oh, I want to keep playing. I want to keep playing through that. And also, Shadow of the Tomb Raider was coming out on Friday, so I'm like, once I want to play. I want to be able to pick that up and play that when it comes out. But once I just kind of got rolling, because I would put like a story mission here and there, and I goof off for an hour or so,
Yeah.
do a bunch of side quests. Really, what it would be was like, oh, I'm going to do a story mission, and like I didn't really fast travel much. I did like 5 times just because there's a trophy for fast traveling 5 times.
Yeah.
But after that, I didn't do it anymore. And because it's just fun to swing around, and it's almost in a way like the loading time is not long. It's 15 seconds at most, but you swing through the city so fast, like it's kind of unnecessary. Like, and it's fun swinging around the city. Like I was having fun just like swooping through obstacles and trying to slide through like buildings and do like cool tricks and stuff. And just what was going on, I was like, oh, I'm 1,000 meters away from the story mission. I'll just swing over there. No big deal. And I would get there, and then like, there's a crime over here. Like crimes pop up here and there. You go stop the crime, beat up the bad guys. There's a pigeon over here. I'm gonna catch the pigeon. There's a nearby. There's a photo ops area. I'm gonna go swim over here and do a photo. So it was like, I'm on my way to the story, and it's like 2 hours would go by, and I've still haven't done that mission yet. And I'm like, there's that over here. So I'm having a blast just doing it. Just doing all the side stuff, like they're fun to do, and even the stuff that's not super fun to do, it's short enough. Like none of them take more than. There's ones where you have to take over like construction areas or like take back bases,
right?
Or beat up the guys and just stop their main base where they're doing.
Oh, I see.
Doing the main crimes at.
So like a typical like sandbox sort of like type of stylings of missions where you gotta get to certain territories, you got to find little collectibles here.
Yeah, kind of like in like Far Cry 5 or Far Cry games where there's a camp with a bunch of bad guys, you eliminate all the bad guys, and the camp's gone. You take over the camp.
But the difference is probably like this game's probably a little bit more focused in terms of what you have to collect, and probably because the story mode. Would you say like the story mode for Spider-Man is like probably a little bit more stronger than say Far Cry 5?
Oh yeah, definitely, because I think it helps. Like Far Cry has always had really great villains.
Yes,
but really they've had like one really strong villain. You go like Voss in 3.
Yeah.
I can't remember number 4. He has a weird name. I can't remember it. 5 was the main villain was pretty good too. I just kind of petered out on that game. But with this, like Mr. Negative, Martin Lee is the main villain. And then he has like as the game progresses, you find like some of the side quests. There's like optional bosses you can fight in the game.
Right.
And like there's like side missions you could do, and like you just kind of stumble upon them and you fight them after like you do a few little missions, like side missions, and like those guys are good. And then like you fight other like popular villains from Spider-Man like lore in that game too, and they're all really good. Like they're all like and like the like delving into the some of the side missions and going in like when you pick up like one of the things you can do is collect a bunch of backpacks that you find. Like Peter Parker has like laying around all over the city. You can go in there and you can like look and see what he finds in the backpack. You go into the menu and look at him, and it'll tell you a story about like all these things he finds.
Yeah.
And like learning the background of like how he's dealt with some of these guys in the past is like the lore of it makes for some really makes them mean a little bit more in some of those boss fights, and you kind of understand like when he talks about like I fought the Vulture over a dozen times.
Right.
It's like he's been doing it for 8 years, so it's just kind of like. Yeah, so the story does mean more because I think like I said, dealing with the Peter Parker side of things, and it hits a little closer to home where him and this isn't spoilers because it all takes place in the first hour or so of the game, but Peter and Martin, Mr. Negative, they're like actual like friends in real life.
I see.
And like his Aunt May works for Martin Lee, and it kind of means more in that, and they do a great job of setting it all up. And like I said, like once I got rolling on the story missions, I didn't want to stop. Like I was like, once I got to a certain point, I'm like, I gotta know what happens next. I want to see what happens next. And it's just like it got bigger and bigger. It's not my favorite. I'm not gonna say it's like an all-time great story, but for an open world game, it's top tier. I think for story for a sandbox style game, it is a top tier story game. Like I mentioned last week, if this was a linear Spider-Man game, like I still would really enjoy it just because of that story mode and the combat and everything with it. But being in the sandbox element made it more fun with all the. It was just like I said, it was seasoning on top of that steak. That's exactly what I said last week, and I stand with that.
I'll tell you what, though. I mean, I have been in the mood just to have like a big old like hankering for a open world style game, and from what you've been describing the past couple weeks, this definitely sounds like something that I've been wanting to play for a while. Because here's the thing with the open world type of games, when it comes to myself, the last time I played an open world game, I actually completed it. That was Ghost Recon Wildlands last year.
Oh, yeah.
But the story in and of itself wasn't really as strong. But from what you're making it sound like, it's not only strong in that case, but it looks like a lot of the side missions and stuff are actually worthwhile to continue with as well. But another thing that I want to touch upon right here for Spider-Man is you were mentioning something about the backstories and stuff, where it's like Peter Parker would explain like his past battles with certain villains and this and that. It kind of reminds me of when Spider-Man came out for the N64 and the PlayStation, that one by Activision.
Mm-hmm.
How they had the initial features where you could unlock specific comic book panels throughout that game by completing certain like objectives and this and that. And it's sort of the Spider-Man game of 2018 in comparison to the Spider-Man game from back then. It's like they have the thing about the Spider-Man game from back in like say the late 90s. That one also had like a little bit of backstory too upon like certain story arcs and stuff from Spider-Man and like the various enemies that were in the game, which at that point it was like, you know, Venom, Rhino, Carnage, this and that. But for this game, it sounds like Spider-Man goes into details about the backstories through like collectibles by people like the Vulture or Mr. Negative or Kingpin or whatever. That actually makes it more appealing for me eventually to want to pick it up, because here's the thing. Other than Batman, Spider-Man was a close second for me when it came to superhero stuff. So it just sounds fascinating to learn more a bit of the lore, and possibly in the eventual sequel to this game, you may see like we may have like other types of villains too, like say Venom or Carnage or whatever. That would be awesome.
And not to really spoil anything, but like we don't. Yeah, there's no Venom. There's no Carnage. We don't even like we don't even really deal with anything with the like I said last week. You don't even really deal with anything as far as like the Hobgoblin goes. Like Osborn has played a huge factor in this game, in the story mode. But you don't even deal with any of the Goblin stuff. Electro's not even in there.
Interesting. Even Mysterio, I guess.
Mysterio's not even in there. Like they mention Mysterio in the game.
Like a prelude, almost.
Yeah, so like he's been like Spider-Man's fought him before,
right?
But we don't know anything what's going on with him. Like we don't know if he's in the raft, the Max prison, or anything. We don't know. So they have definitely done a good job of like they gave like you said at E3, like the Sinister Six stuff is basically that's like the kind of the main crux of the game. And they do that, but like it's like, and I mentioned last week, everybody always talks about how great Batman's villains are. Like this game, like we dealt with at least 6 top end villains. Maybe not top end, but 6 really good villains, 4 of which are probably like most people would know. I think even like casual Spider-Man fans would know who those guys are. Like
exactly.
Rhino,
it's almost
Vulture.
Like it's almost like a neck and neck sort of thing, between like Batman and Spider-Man in terms of like the villains that have that massive appeal that even casual fans going into it will know. Okay, that's that villain from that series or some. And that's a good case that you just mentioned. For Spider-Man. Immediately, when I think Spider-Man and the villains, I think of Kingpin, Hobgoblin, Green Goblin, Venom, Carnage, Rhino, Electro, like Shocker and stuff, and even like some of the obscure ones, like say like like maybe Morbius or something like that from time to time, and like there were some other ones too, like oh man, now I'm just starting to really dig deep in here, and I'm just
but yeah, I mean like I said, there's like a lot, like we knocked out a lot of like the top tier maybe, like, but there's still a few they haven't messed with yet. Some of you can see they're setting up for, and then you have like there's a couple like side ones in there like Taskmaster,
yes,
and Tombstone's in the game, but I never heard of those. I heard Taskmaster before, but I didn't know anything about him. Tombstone I never heard of before, so they've definitely did a good job of like selling this game, doing a great job of setting up this universe, but like also for this game, but also like in the future, it's kind of like almost like God of War did. It was like they did a great job of setting up this new universe for Kratos, but there's so much like they haven't even touched upon.
Makes it exciting
With
though
that,
for potential sequels to both of those games,
yeah,
God of War and
like
Spider-Man.
yeah, like I'm already like sitting. I'm like, okay, so maybe 2020 we see God of War 2. Maybe we 2021 we see Spider-Man. I'm
Oh
already like
man.
trying to like I've been already doing timelines about like, man, they've done it. Like they have set themselves up with both these games for the future with this, just the story, and then like the gameplay is already there, the lore is already there. Like now they just gotta build upon this and like just tell a good story, which so far
Exactly.
they've proven they can do. Um, and like I said last week, I thought God of War and Celeste were, I thought God of War was like, no big hold a candle to it. And then I played Celeste, and this is like, ooh, okay, no, Celeste is right up there. And then I'm like, but those games are like on their own little tier up there. But it's like, ooh, then I played Spider-Man. I'm like, I beat the game, and I'm like, oh, I'm at 86%. I'm close to, I could probably knock it. I could probably get the platinum in like 3 or 4 hours and 100% the game. And I was like, right now I got Shadow of the Tomb Raider I want to play. But I'm like, ooh, like October's looking wide open.
Oh yeah.
Like I can throw a couple podcasts on and knock those out without even really thinking about it. So, yeah, great game. If you guys can't tell, I already love the game. Definitely one of the best games of the year. It's a game, like I said last week. If you have a PS4, there's no reason to own, no reason not to own this. And if you are on the edge of the seat, somehow still thinking about getting a PS4. Now's, I think, I mean, if you haven't, I don't know if Spider-Man doesn't do it for you, I don't know what will, with all the other great exclusives from Sony on this generation.
Right.
But I do want to quickly talk about Call of Duty Black Ops 4.
Okay.
Blackout. That's a long title. Beta was going on. It's only going on this week. I think I might have mentioned it last week, but I pre-ordered it for you don't pay anything. They give you a code. You get a code for the beta that I think it ends tomorrow. So I think it goes through Monday. So if you're listening to this, it's probably pretty much over or already over. But all you gotta do, you can go on anywhere. I just went to Best Buy, pre-ordered it, got my code, deleted, canceled my pre-order. I've only played it for, I don't know. I think I played like 6-7 matches for, I don't know, maybe an hour at most. But it's essentially, if people don't know, it is their battle royale mode for Call of Duty Black Ops 4. And this, I thought it was only 80 players in a game, but I think there's 88 actually, which is a weird number, but that's what it has in the beta. Yeah, you think you just not only even are a number that ends in 10. But like I said, I only played it for a little bit, but man, this feels like I'm starting playing it, and it's like Call of Duty games are always they're the best at gameplay and the click the fast twitch button action and how smooth everything feels. They're one of the best in the business when it comes to shooting mechanics. Maybe Destiny's maybe the closest that holds a candle to them. And like I'm sitting there playing it, and like I know it's $60. It doesn't have a campaign, but I'm just like I'm thinking about like this is not a Fortnite killer because Fortnite's a free to play game, and it's overtaken. I mean that game, like with being a mobile and all that, like it's overtaken everything. You can play it anywhere, all that. But this to me just feels like I was there playing. I'm like, this feels like a PUBG killer in a lot of ways, where it feels closer to a PUBG than Fortnite does. Where like PUBG has it's more Call of Duty. It's more realistic, and this and Fortnite has a building. It's more cartoony and all that. It's got weird weapons. You can dress up like a unicorn, stupid shit like that. They don't take themselves seriously at all. And playing through this, it's just like it does every. I've only played maybe an hour of PUBG, to be honest. Like I played a few matches when I got my Xbox One X and all that. It's still glitchy and has problems like that. The beta is obviously it's a beta, so it's got some glitchy, and there's like points where like the wall isn't there, but you can see like I went to a store and there was like plants, like potted like pots from a plant on shelves, but the shelves weren't there. So like it's not perfect obviously, but it's like I'm starting playing. I'm like, this game already feels like more finished than PUBG does, and that game's been out for a year and a half now. And I'm just staring. I'm like between the it's Call of Duty. It's the biggest franchise in gaming right now, or over the last 15 years. It's got a good foothold in the gaming world. It's got the online. It's got the zombies. It's Treyarch. I just playing it. It just like I said, it feels smooth. I've actually got a few kills. It's a little more fast, but I think the matches aren't as long. I'm not like inning super high in these games. I think the lowest I got out of 88. I think the lowest I got was like 50 something. And the highest I got was like 13 or 14. Um, but it feels better. It's you're not like I don't know maybe the way I'm playing is different from a lot of other people, but I'm not like sitting in a bathtub like I do in Fortnite and when I played a PUBG, waiting. The circle's getting smaller. Better go run now. And it just feels good. It feels great. Not that I don't not consider say, I'm going to buy this day one just because I'm not really that type of gamer. I don't like to play especially with the lack of campaign. I love the Black Ops campaigns, except for 3. I love the first 2. But if enough friends bought this game at launch and were to keep consistently playing it, I would probably throw down $60 and I'd pick this game up for sure because I'm definitely enjoying it. That's really all I've been playing. It sucks. I got the place. We didn't get more time with it. I wish it was a couple weeks instead of a week. But I think it comes out October 12th. But yeah, so far it seems like a lot of people are liking it as well. So it's been fun. I think it's a good it was a good selling point that beta is. So that's what I've been playing. Gables, what about you?
Okay, I've been playing a few games this week. To get the most obvious out of the way first, I am currently at level 76 with my Arms Warrior in Warcraft. I was going through a lot of the Outlands stuff, which is basically the Burning Crusades expansion. I was there upwards until like around level 75, completing quests and stuff, but I have moved into Lich King stuff currently, so I am in Northrend. I am completing a whole bunch of missions. I kind of had to ask around with some of my friends because I noticed that a lot of the experience stuff was starting to diminish. And then they just will inform me, and it's like, well, the reason why you're doing this is because of the Outland stuff in Burning Crusade is good for levels 60 through 70, and since I was 5 levels over the cap of that explains why I was going slowly. So, through other types of process, I'm now in Northrend. I'm now earning a bunch of experience points through gathering missions and basically collecting certain things, this and that. And so far, at least I'm getting myself back on track when it comes to that. I want to eventually get to level 80 by the end of this week. Hopefully a little bit higher, because I am trying my best to get my character from 1 to 120, which is the level cap. My subscription to it is going to expire by the end of this week, but I'm going to fix that. It's convinced me enough to where, hey, I want to renew. I want to go and try for another few months and stuff, and just see what else I can get out from it. I haven't even delved too much in the dungeons or the raid portions of it yet. I've just been doing mainline missions. A couple of my friends have been helping me here and there in terms of what they want me to try to experience. Through some dungeons, through some raid stuff. Try to be helpful as possible. So I've been much appreciative of that, and it's part of the reason why I haven't really delved into a lot of newer games as of late. But in that regard, though, let me focus on another game that I had been playing, which I have been playing more, and I've actually beaten Castlevania Symphony of the Night again. I decided to play a little bit more of it yesterday because I was only about, I would say, half an hour to 45 minutes away from me actually beating the game. My average time for beating Symphony of the Night ranges from about 6 hours to about 6:45, roughly. This one was a little bit more because I was trying to explore and grind for specific new weapons that I never even knew I could use. So here's a funny story. I was watching a YouTube video last week, and it was trying to say the toughest boss battles in sort of video games, and the video that they had dedicated this to was a boss in Castlevania Symphony of the Night, who is called Galamoth. Now, Galamoth is a hidden boss inside the reverse castle. You don't even have to go through and beat him if you don't want to. But if you want to complete this game and the whole 200.6% stuff, You got to go through that area and you got to beat him. So, a backstory on that, Galamoth and all the enemies that's around that area in the reverse catacombs, they pay tribute to an obscure NES game called Kid Dracula, which the main protagonist in that game is Alucard, the son of Dracula. And the main antagonist of that game is Galamoth. So it's like, I never knew about that. The game reference is so obscure from an old Konami game that was barely like recognized back in the day. But I like that it had that obscure of reference. But other kinds of secrets that I ended up discovering, I found out that there is a good use for an item in the game called the Shield Rod. Now, the Shield Rod I never knew how to really use properly because it basically powers up based upon how good your shield is. So, the best shield in the game is Alucard's shield, which you lose towards the beginning of the game after the Grim Reaper pretty much steals all your weapons and stuff, like around 10 minutes or so into the game. So once I got the Alucard shield and stuff, I was fiddling around with it, and I did a quarter circle with my attack button, which in this case is either the square or the triangle. No, square or the cross. Nah, I'll get it eventually. But anyway, with my attack button, I just did a quarter circle, and it popped up something while I had the Alucard shield equipped on, and it went through a cycle to where all these different shields and stuff were circling around. And so I did that a few times. I'm thinking to myself, I said, okay, what do I do? And so I have my shield up, and just out of curiosity, I started just running into enemies. It started insta-killing enemies, one after another.
Nice.
So what I ended up doing was I had to test it out in a boss battle. So here I am in the reverse castle. I was testing it off against the Grim Reaper, and not even 30 seconds I had beaten that boss. I beat both forms of the Grim Reaper in Symphony of the Night in like under 30 seconds with the Shield Rod Alucard shield combo. So another thing that I wanted to try out was there's this other weapon that I never even knew existed, and it's called the Rune Sword. Now the Rune Sword is a flying sword that you can actually toss and it comes back to you like a boomerang, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one enemy in that entire game. It's much like how I explained earlier with the Chrysogrim, when you have to go through the reverse library and start grinding on this one enemy called Shmoo. It's sort of like a similar case with the Rune Sword, where there's one enemy in the entire game, in one portion of the reverse castle that you have to grind on in order to acquire this weapon. It's the Dodo Bird. So yes, they actually pay tribute to like an extinct bird, right? And here's the thing, the Dodo Bird, the stats of it, it's like it's only got 2 HP. And every time it sees an enemy or sees you, it starts to run. So basically here I am, I'm grinding on this Dodo Bird, right? And it drops 2 items. One of them being the Heart Brooch and the other one being the Rune Sword. Now, the Heart Brooch reduces heart usage. You know, when you use your sub-weapons, like say your Holy Water, your Axe, or whatever. The Rune Sword, if you use it correctly, and in which case I actually went forth and I got 2 Rune Swords, which took me about maybe 20 minutes to a half an hour to actually get both of them. I started using it and started to experiment with it, like for other bosses too. Like when essentially I beat Symphony of the Night twice. Once with my Chrysogrim and the other one with the Rune Sword. Because it was just so hilarious seeing the end boss of this game literally just fall after just not even like a few minutes of... not even like a minute or so after just facing off against him. But, yeah, it's kind of interesting seeing a game like Castlevania Symphony of the Night has so many hidden type of secrets and so many hidden types of ways you can beat enemies or even just break the game in and of itself. And I find it completely fascinating that after all these years that I've been playing this game off and on since 2003, I'm finding new and creative ways in order to not only play the game, but to experience just how awesome a lot of these hidden items were that I never even knew existed. Like, another example was I was facing off against this enemy in the reverse castle called the Nova Skeleton. And basically, it's a green skeleton that fires this sort of like big old laser beam. So by chance, I killed one of them, and it dropped this sort of sword. It was a two-handed sword. It was powerful, more powerful than my Chrysogrim, but it's a poison sword. And quintessentially, it inflicts poison damage onto enemies. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's pretty fucking cool. Trying it out and stuff. Didn't have really that fast of a draw, but yeah, it's just finding different ways to play a classic game which has the most appeal and the most replayability for me. Like I said before, there's only a few games I can do that with and just find something fun and creative each time I play through it. So, the last game that I have been playing this week is another continuation, Earthbound. I'm still playing more of Earthbound. At this point in time, I have all of my party members finally. I went through the particular portion of Summers, that's the town I'm in, and I went up and I ended up discovering, okay, I still have to make a call to this place called the Stoic Club. So I go to a shop, I go to a payphone, and I call the Stoic Club. And so when I did that, I could actually gain access to the building, and you have to talk with all the NPC characters in it, but specifically you have to talk with this one lady that's in the bottom right-hand corner that's near the entrance. And basically what happens is, like, she asks you a question, oh, you just, like, do you want to eat some of my magic cake? Or something like that, quintessentially, because she makes these, like, particular type of pastries called magic cakes and stuff, right? So her NPC leaves, I go over to the stand, this little stand or something where she's making them and stuff. She lets you try one of them, and that's when, after you try it and do this and do that, that's when the screen just starts going to like a psychedelic sort of thing, and all of a sudden it blacks out, and you're flashed, and now all of a sudden you're with your fourth party character, Pooh, in Dalam. It's more like a Far Eastern kingdom and stuff, more reminiscent of like ancient sort of, I want to say either Chinese or ancient like Japanese sort of style of land, but what's kind of funny is when you take control of the character, this character Pooh and stuff, he has the abilities to use both physical attacks and psychic attacks. So you go around the village and stuff, all the girl characters or something like that, the young girl characters like him because he's a prince and this and that. But you go through a lot of the presents and items that are there. You can pick up things like bottles of water, which are consumable by him. And he has this sort of weird thing where there are certain items that don't equip onto him because he has specific items tailored for him that you must find throughout the game. So, after doing that and completing like his training, because Pooh has a specific training that you have to complete before you meet up with the other party members. It's something called Moo training, right? So it's like MU, Moo training. And the whole thing about it is, it starts, it starts being like whimsical and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, when you get to his training, when he climbs up to this one like peak or something, he starts meditating. All of a sudden, it's like it starts to get a little bit dark, and like you have this spirit or something that starts asking him questions in the form of his training. It's like, do you want me to break your arms? Do you want me to break your legs? Do you want me to tear off your ears? Do you want me to like take out your eyes and stuff like that? Blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. So obviously they don't show that type of things, but because it's like a mental training thing. And the final question is like, it's like, do you want me to take your conscience? Basically just take the soul that was left and stuff. And so, going through the game up until that point, it's like, okay, this is kind of cool. There's some dark elements here and there, and then all of a sudden it just goes to that. It's like, holy shit. So obviously, after completing it, because you have to answer yes no matter what in terms of this type of stuff, or else you'll fail the training. But after that, you go back to your master. You actually level up without having to fight a single enemy in that area. You learn specific types of psychic techniques. In this case, Teleport Alpha and Teleport Beta, which Teleport Beta basically lets you teleport while rotating around like it's sort of like a circle or something like that to whatever that previous areas that you hadn't before. So that's how Pooh meets up with the party. He uses like Teleport Beta to get to that specific like area in Summers. And now, at this moment in time, I'm at Summers with my full party, and what I need to do is I need to find the 5th My Sanctuary location, which I know is back in Foreside, because I had to do another, like, I had to do a side mission before then where I had to get an autograph from this one girl from this club in Forest Side in order to, like, she signs a banana peel, and I have to give it to this one person inside the dinosaur museum, and it's just so freaking crazy and just weird, but it's still a bunch of fun, and I am seriously wanting to play more of it. Now, just keep in mind, this is a game that I've had for like over 10 years, quintessentially, and I'm just now starting to really start to get back into it and actually start to enjoy what I'm playing through, you know, because I'm doing that along with watching the Let's Play of it from one of my favorite YouTubers, Chowka Conroy and stuff, so it's like, it's starting to become a little bit more memorable, and there's just a lot of stuff that's just fascinating about the game. It's like, finally I'm in the mood to play it.
Yeah,
So,
that's cool.
other than that, man, that's all I've been playing.
Hey guys, Captain Hindsight Tyler here, back where I wish I could have recorded this and planned it out better, but we didn't. So that's the end of our recording session, that half of the recording session. So hopefully we'll be back next week with a normal show. We're going to split up in 2 parts. Sorry about that, guys. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys again on Sunday. Please.